Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is March 1st, 2020. My name is Lynn Marquidant, and I'm your host. Welcome. I am back from Missouri, and I have had a wonderful time that I want to tell you all about. In addition, or sort of connected, I want to talk about wedding and graduation quilts. It is the season. We've just hit March. We have a few months to crank them out and get them quilted so they're ready in time for gifting. So with that, how are you? Grab your project. I know this is not Friday. I have postponed this week's FiberCast to today. Welcome. And if you're watching this after the fact, I hope you've had a great weekend. Grab your project and for 60 minutes or less, maybe more like 30 minutes today, see what you can get done. First off, right behind me, you can see two panels that I came home with a whole bunch of gifts from Missouri. And this is the Missouri Star Quilting Company. That's where I went for retreat. These two panels I came home with, and I like them both. And aren't they different? I love the Field of Poppies, and I love this one that's so modern. That was part of our scavenger hunt. The first, well, let's see, I brought my schedule. So for anyone who has been to Missouri Star, to the quilt camp, hi, Linda. Nice to see you out there. For anyone who's been, you know all about it. For those who haven't been, I hope you get to go because it really is it's a fun experience. Basically, it's a week. We flew out from here in Boston on Monday. We sewed starting Monday night through Friday morning, and then we flew home Friday. And the formal schedule didn't start until Tuesday. We went in, what you can do is you can go in a day early. So we went in Monday night. We paid, hi, Cherish. We paid $50 to stay there an extra night up in the dorm rooms on the second floor of the big retreat center. And that works out great. So we because you can start sewing and shopping early. But if you're driving in or you don't want to stay Monday night, you arrive anywhere between 9 and 3. You set up and you do open sew. Then there's no lunch served on Tuesday. So they have a deli, they have a Jay's Burger, they have the Subway. They have a few places to eat. They also have a supermarket a couple of stores down where you can get things. 3 o'clock was the orientation and the scavenger hunt. And that's where part of the scavenger hunt was getting these two panels. It was 18 clues this time. They had us not only going to the Missouri Star stores and answering questions to get a gift at every store. So that's 18 gifts they gave us. They also directed us to some of the local businesses, like a floral shop, like a vintage gift shop, a jewelry shop, a candy shop, and then, of course, all of the Missouri Star fabric places. So it was great fun. Each place, we got things like these rulers that Missouri Star does. Well, I'll tell you what I got at the scavenger hunt after I'm done telling you the schedule. So you do the scavenger hunt the first night, and then they feed you dinner, the food was wonderful. It was fresher than ever, I think, and less sauces and more just like there was always fresh salad. Oh, this might have been pork tenderloin and some rice and salad and maybe some carrots. So anyhow, then they taught an attic windows class. Oh, one of the things we got was Jenny's latest block magazine. And the classes they taught us are in here. So this was the attic windows. And this was no extra charge, and you could choose to do it or not. But what was really nice was they provided these panels. So if you didn't have a panel, you could use that panel. I didn't choose to do it because I didn't know what I would do with it. I'm not a huge fan of the look, although I think it's neat that it can be done. I think it's really neat. See that? It looks like a window. And you cut up your panel. And there are all sorts of tricks for how to cut some parts of the panel off after you slice it all up so that it doesn't look like your deer have very long torsos or very long feet or ears that are disproportionate. So, like if the end of this deer, you cut off his foot, you don't put it way down here. You cut that off so that your mind thinks that it's behind the window pane. Anyway, so that was the first night, right? So now we're only through till Tuesday night. Wednesday, oh, by the way, they brought a massage therapist in on Wednesday. So you could schedule massages. I did not do that. Becky did. There were 4 of us, by the way, that went. 3 from Massachusetts and 1 met us there. She's from Kansas, actually. And she came and picked us up at the airport. There were only 25 or so people. So it was a really nice number. It wasn't very crowded. It was great. But by Wednesday, okay, so you could sign up for a massage. There's a continental breakfast. Then after breakfast, we did the second class. And many of us did this. And I made this quilt, which I'm going to show you in a minute. It's called Radiance. And it's made with a jelly roll and with a 10 square pack or with yardage. And the jelly roll makes all those crosses. You sew the jelly roll all together. You use this special template to cut out those fans, and then they make the cross, and then you put your background fabric in between. And I'll show you an example. There were some cool examples. Like Becky did one with Tula pink fabric. Her sister Pam did one with some beautiful rich blue floral fabric. There were lots of different examples, and I think I have some pictures. So again, now we're only on Wednesday morning, that Radiance class. Then we had lunch, and you don't have to think about lunch at all. It just automatically appears. It's lovely. Then there was open sew all afternoon. Then we had dinner, and we were going to go to the Quilt Museum, but the Quilt Museum was switching over to another exhibit. So they moved that to Thursday. So we just sewed. We had dinner and we sewed. Come Thursday, again, continental breakfast, open sew after breakfast. And by the way, whenever there's open sew, all the stores are open too. Not all night long, but they open from 10 to 5 right now. Usually, I guess, in the summer or later in the spring, they'll open 9 to 5. But 10 to 5 was plenty. So you're sewing along, let's say, and you need something, you can just run over to the store and get it. Or you want to match a color, you can run into any of the, and I forget every time, whether it's 12 or 13 stores. You can usually find what you're looking for. Then we saw a video on their warehouse, and we toured their warehouse. Their warehouse was about 2 miles away. We caravanned over there. This was really exciting for me because I went to the warehouse 4 or 5 years ago, and it was one building, and it was just, busting at the seams with a lot of fabric and a lot of things and a lot of activity, a lot of gamble machines working on the quilts. Now they've expanded it. They've quadrupled the size of their manufacturing operation, or their warehouse, their packaging and kitting. They've automated a lot of it. They have lots of pick and stage stations. It looks like they have a lot more safety things in place. And it was fascinating to see, including we saw a massive area that has nothing in it. And it was where the 12,000 quilts that were sent to Jenny during the hurricane down in Houston, the couple of hurricanes, there was another one in Louisiana and Houston. And everyone rallied and made 12,000 quilts. And she said that she thought they got about 6,000 pillowcases. They didn't even solicit those or ask for those, but those arrived too. And all have been given away. So that was pretty impressive. So after the warehouse tour on Thursday, you could go to the Quilt Museum tour. I actually decided not to do that because I had quilts to finish up, which I'm going to show you right now. These are graduation quilts. I have to think about a wedding quilt. We had dinner on Thursday night. We opted not to do a retreat or show and tell because we saw each other's things as we were working on them. And by the way, did I mention there were people from as far away as Oregon, Fort Worth, Texas, Massachusetts, of course, many from the Midwest. So there were some from Kansas. There were some from Columbia, Missouri. I think that's about it. A lot of people drove in. There weren't too many of us that flew in this time. And I'm sure, and the weather was mild. The weather was great. It was in the 30s and 40s during the day. It got down, I think, to maybe the 20s in the evening, but there wasn't any snow and there wasn't any ice on the roads. So it was relatively mild. I think last year it snowed after we got there and it was icy and cold. So by Thursday night, we were still sewing. You're tired by then because it's a pretty intense 3 days, but it's just filled with what you like to do. Friday, we had a farewell breakfast and a few people, we actually helped Pam finish up her Radiance quilt. And we packed up, we checked out by 11. Of course, we did a little last minute shopping. We dropped off our wares to be sent home. Although I did not shop much, but I helped others pack up their things. And they're on their way home, the boxes. And last night we arrived in Boston by 8 o'clock. So that was our trip. Didn't miss a weekend. You can't beat that kind of trip. A fun vacation in the week while everyone else works. It was great. So what kind of things did I get at the scavenger hunt? Let's go over that. This ruler, burst block template. This was cool. A 10-inch by 10-inch ruler. Another, this is a 2.5 width ruler. So if you want to make your own 2.5-inch strips, you can, although it's a little short, isn't it? And I don't have everything here. I don't know where it all went. I probably used it. Oh, I know. I got a fat quarter. I got this is neat. Actually, this would be fun to adorn with our beads. It's a nice Missouri Star ruler. I really have always wanted to do that, to adorn it with beads. So maybe I'll do that. This was a quilt pattern. Ironically, it's similar to something I have to do this week, which is make flowers out of Beth and Amy's mother's clothing for a memory quilt. But anyway, we got that pattern. And we got the block magazine. And we got the panels. What else did we get? I'm sure I've used what else we received. I think someplace we received a little ducky decal. Just lots of different things. It was fun. Pins. I think I gave my pin to Pam. I'm going to give my bracelet to Pam with the charms. So that'll be fun. Okay. So what did I sew and what are we going to sew today? Well, first off, what I sewed were graduation quilts. And I'm going to, I got these two things too. I got that cute little ruler to draw 1/4 inches on either side of a seam. That will come in very handy. I also got this snap and store. I'm going to open this. It's a caddy for carrying things. I wonder if my rotary cutter would fit in it. Well, look at that. That's cool. Because I always worry when I stick my rotary cutter in my bag that it will open up and cut someone. So that's kind of cool. Huh. But I don't want to put it in there now because I'm sure to lose it. I was really excited. I brought this bag. Remember where this is the sew together bag that we made together a while ago? This has become my favorite bag. No question about it. I was able to put everything that I needed and not overpack it for the whole week. I brought a black and white spool of thread. I brought my seam ripper. I have needles. My tape measure from Katie. Anyway, you've seen this. So this, a charger. Of course, you can never leave home without a charger. This is a really good bag. I'm very pleased with this. And it's standing up. I made it with upholstery fabric. Even though it's not the brightest color, it has worked very well. Although what didn't work, silly, is do you remember a few weeks ago I made a square for a client for their chapter of the Jack and Jill Foundation, and they paid me in a bottle of wine. Well, I thought, I'll be so creative. I'll bring the bottle of wine with me to Missouri and share it with my friends out there. Well, I don't know what I was thinking. Clearly, I wasn't. Clearly, it's been a while since I've thought of traveling. I put it in my carry bag through TSA. And of course, you should have seen the glee on the TSA agent's face when she said, "You can't bring this, this is liquid." And my other bag had already been checked and was on its way out to the plane. So I gave TSA that bottle of wine. Well, TSA took my bottle of wine, and I understand why. It was my own fault. So anyhow, enough about that. Let's talk quilts. Last Friday night, I showed you purple fabrics that I was going to use last Saturday. I had 3 other people come here and sew, and we had a great time. So Carol, Michelle, Deb, hi, thanks for coming. It was great fun. Michelle led us on a mystery quilt making adventure. Turns out it's an Emily Scott design that I posted on the website. If anyone out there is seeing this for the first time, go to simplycolorful.com or the Simply Colorful Facebook page or the Simply Colorful Mystery Quilt Along group, and you can get this link. It's called the 12 bundle pattern. And what it is 12 fat quarters, which are all the purples. And then I used this cafe that my sister gave me for Christmas for the accents. And then I put a couple of borders on it. So this is one graduation quilt. I'm going to order light purple Minky for that one. And I have it all measured. In fact, I'm going to order the Minky today. I noticed on fabric.com, wide Minky, though I don't need it for this, is on sale for $13. Many colors of it are on sale for $13.90. So that's 90-inch wide Minky. That's a great price. So I went to the retreat and I made the same pattern that I made last Saturday in the mystery a couple of different ways. So this is a graduation quilt for a student who's graduating from the University of Lowell. It's a boy. He's into music, so there are some music notes here. And of course, and I put a border on it. And I ran out of, and I used this blue grunge as the accent. That I bought at Missouri. But everything else I carried with me. And I didn't have enough of this black. So, and I'm hoping he knows what this is. So for the last 1 foot, I used some Three Stooges fabric. So it's unusual, but that will work. Hi, Carol Bell. How are you? I hope your new job's going well. So that is the second one. And then, and I thought this one worked better than the purple because I stuck all my bundle of 12 fat quarters. I stuck to a very light value of the black and white. Then I have another nephew graduating from high school, and the colors are red and white. So I used the same pattern, the Amelia Scott pattern, and I used red fat quarters, and then I used, I used the gray or the black and white for my contrasting right there. And you only need 3/4 of a yard. So you need 12 fat quarters and then 3/4 of a yard of the contrasted color. And then I put a border on it. So that is a third one. Again, another graduation quilt. And if I get these all done, then I won't be hustling around come April, May, and June. I just want to finish it. Then, one more. I have a niece who's graduating from college. I think I mentioned this. And she wanted a pastel quilt. Now, this is the Radiance quilt. Remember this one? And this could become, you may see this and think, ooh, that's a hot mess. And it might be. I'm still going to keep making it. She wanted a pastel quilt. Remember, it's going to look like this in theory. And I had a pastel jelly roll from Christine Myers. She gave that to me. And then I went to the floral store when I was there in Missouri. And I got myself some of this Cafe Facet. I had no idea that this orange would read so bright. It was about the most pastel fabric line he had. It actually is a Philip Jacobs but it's part of their collaborative there. Okay, ready? Again, this could be a hot mess. Can you see the pastel stars, the radiance? So here's one. So, and then you put piano keys all the way around with the remaining jelly roll. And I like it. It may be a little bit much for a college student who's just finishing up and might be a little more conservative than this, but, so what I'm thinking, and she wanted it big, and she wants it again pastels. So what I was thinking is, and I tried to find other colors, like maybe this sea green or this turquoisey green, which I may still do. I may put another border of this wild cave fabric if I can't find something else to tone it down. So that's the fourth quilt top. And actually what I was thinking of doing today is I have pieces of batting that I'm going to sew together to use on these quilts. And I've made 3 of the bindings, you can see. Not the 4th one for this yet. But I have bindings for the red one. It's going to be that. This. I had this. So I'm using up what I have. And then this is a scrappy purples for that. So how are your graduation quilts coming? That's my challenge to you, is if you have any to make, go for it. Now, wedding quilts. I know I haven't sewn yet, but I really just wanted to check in and say hi to everyone. This could be a better wedding quilt maybe, but that couple is more conservative too. We have a couple of weddings to go to this spring, one of which I'd like to make a quilt for. The other one, we've already made them a quilt, and I think we'll get them something else. And so I'm thinking, so let me put this aside. I have a couple of options. I have this fabric that my sister gave me for Christmas. Remember this? It's a beautiful jelly roll. And then yardage. So that's one group of fabric that would make a large lap quilt, which would be fine. I also have, but I don't know what the pattern would be. I also have this that I got last year when I went to Missouri, which is why, by the way, I'm pretty proud of myself. I didn't buy any jelly rolls. I didn't buy any pre-cuts. I didn't even buy a deal of the day, even though there were jelly rolls for $20. I didn't love them, and I decided not to do that. So, but I have lots of fabric, coordinating fabric. I could make a queen or even a king-size quilt with this. The question is, what pattern should I use? So if KB's out there, be thinking of something. I love this. It's so 70s, isn't it? And ironically, it's got the same oranges and greens as this one that I just did. Different oranges and greens, but it's looking, I like that a lot. It's got some black overwriting on it. So now that Dear Jane is done, we have so many options. If anyone has any quilt design ideas, let me know. I don't want to spend too much time on it. And I think what I'll do is I'll probably go back to Missouri Star to find a Jenny tutorial that requires what is that called? A layer cake. Like there was one in here that, oh, this is kind of cool. The way to make a pillow, a little ring bearer's pillow out of 16 squares. You know what? Maybe that's what we should do right now is make a little pillow because I wanted to try that, see how that worked. It's basically you sew 16 squares together, you fold it in half, you sew down the sides of the half, then you bring those together and you sew the other two sides halfway up, and then you turn it and you stuff it, and then you shut it closed, or you sew it closed. But I don't need a ring bearer's pillow. So here's an interesting one. You kind of snowball the squares. So I could use all of these squares and snowball them. And it's not like snowballs, it's taking a piece of 2.5 inch fabric by what? Let me see. Uh, 2.5 inch by 5 inch. So if I had, 2.5 inch by 5 inch, and then you sew it on each side. That's very cute. In the red, white, and blues. I don't know if you can see that. Another thing that's kind of cute is what Jenny has on her cover here. It's a pinwheel table topper. That's really neat. So, as you can see, there are lots of choices. This might be another option too. Rose garden. Ooh, that might work well because I use the charm pack. Oh, 2 packages of 5 inch print squares. I only have 1 package. And then 1.5 yards of pink and 1.5 yards of white. I like that. Well, I think that's about what I wanted to report on. Oh, maybe I have a few other pictures from the retreat. How's that? Oh, hello, Carol. I'm so glad to see you're saying hi. Oh, there on CBS this morning on Open Sunday, there was oh, look at this. A customer sent me a picture of her quilt. Look at that on her door. I think I showed that last week. This was her shamrock that I had quilted for her. Oh, that's lovely. And then Deb writes, did you see this morning on Sunday morning today? It's called Main Street USA, Welcome to Hamilton, Missouri. And it's probably on YouTube. You can look for that. And it was Jenny and several of her children. And it tells the story of how they came from California to a place on the map that her husband, Ron, basically pointed his finger at, which was Hamilton, Missouri. Until then known as the birthplace of JCPenney. And now they have, in the last 10 years, they've turned it into, actually, they started 20 years ago with one quilting machine for Jenny and Ron to generate some income for their retirement, and it grew into what it is today, both an online store as well as a retreat center, an education center, a place to stay, and all sorts of things. So look for that if you didn't see it this morning. Oh, I was going to show you some pictures. Okay. And then maybe we'll make those pinwheels. I think that would be fun. Oh, and there were posters of Jenny around the stores. She wasn't there this week, but you could take pictures with her. So, of course, we stood there with her and took that picture, those of us who went. Here's a picture of Cindy, she's one of the women who runs the retreat center. That's where we sew. There's Pam, and behind her is a very nice batik quilt and the start of mine. Here's another view of the retreat center. Oh, that was another one that was neat that someone was making on the floor. There's another view of the retreat center. You eat in the middle. See all the design walls? So where you're sewing, you have a design wall right next to you, which is nice. There were some neat, you could see people creating their designs. Oh, there's the outside of the retreat center, and they've painted it. And it was a beautiful sunny day. I guess that was Wednesday. So let me just see if, oh, this one was neat. There's one that Becky is making. All curved seams. Oh, this one was neat. That was all from scraps of greens and blacks, black prints. And doesn't it really have a lot of movement because it was all scraps? I really like that. Here's another radiance using the blue. Here are a couple more. That's hard to see. There's radiance with the Tula pink. That doesn't photograph as well as it looks in person. It's really a very fun quilt. And the Tula pink fabric, I think it's monkey wrench fabric, has monkeys in it, has some frogs in it. So Becky has gotten a lime green for the backing, and she's going to quilt in. She's going to have me quilt in. We're going to find a pantograph with frogs. So that's something you can always do. It's a nice idea to pick up a design in your fabric, or a motif, or something that the recipient likes. You can always find a pantograph that will stitch up nicely. So what does Carol say? Carol says, no graduation quilts to make, but my daughter got engaged this weekend. Congratulations. So I will have a wedding quilt to make. Thinking of purple and the Celtic solstice. Oh, neat. It's in an old Bonnie Hunter mystery quilt. Oh, that would be great. And it will take me a while. I'm still making the last mystery quilt. Oh, that would be fun. I'm itching to do another Bonnie Hunter, but I have to hold off. I want to make a funky house one with all my scraps that I made several years ago. And we'll get into that. And I want to do our own mystery quilt. And then, of course, my wedding quilt. So there's never a dull moment. There's always something to do, which is great. And it's a beautiful spring day here, so life is good. Is that about, oh, this was kind of neat. People did make the window quilts, the attic window quilts. So see how they just cut up that panel. Oh, there's another radiance quilt. That's neat. Oh yeah, let's make some pinwheels, just for fun. Let's see. Freya and Friends. What do we want our pinwheels to be made from? Well, it might be good to make a Valentine's Day one for next year, or we could make an ombre one. I think it would be fun to make, oh, a 4th of July one would be ideal. I want something pretty. Oh, I can make it in these blues. But then what will I do with it? That's the question. I'm not going to make that. I think maybe I'm going to wrap this up. How does that sound? I thank you all for joining me. I hope that, let me check my email. I didn't even say that. Post what you're working on the Simply Colorful Mystery Quilt Along, or you can always send it to me at Lynn@simplycolorful. Oh, here we go. Oh, yay, Carol. Gee. Carol writes in and sends us pictures. I'm so glad I checked this. She says, hi, Lynn and FiberCaster friends. Sorry I've not been able to catch you live for a while, but hope to catch you later. I've had a week of work, so I've been able to get some serious sewing time in. There is nothing better, she says. Oh, I can't wait to show you what she's done. My frolic mystery is almost done. Just have to decide how to do the last border. She says, in between each of the blocks, I've been sewing some of Bonnie's leader ender shoe fly blocks. Wonderful. Hope all Fibercasters are keeping well and sewing to their heart's content. OMG. I love what you've done here. So I'm downloading the second one. Oh, look at those fun shoe fly. Oh, I love that, Carol. Oh, and then, oh, look at her frolic quilt. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I love your colors. Oh, it's so bright and springy. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, I'd like to make that quilt. Wow. Oh, thank you, Carol, for sharing that. And as always, thank you all for joining me. It's so good to see you out there. Do what you love. Enjoy the next week, and I'll see you here next Friday night, right from this home Simply Colorful studio, 8 p.m. I'll see you then. Have a good week.